Here's the mistake almost every company makes with employee retention. They treat it like an exit problem. Somebody resigns, you scramble to put together a counteroffer, and then you run an exit interview to figure out what went wrong. But think about what that actually is for a second. By the time you're sitting across from somebody who's already quit, asking them, why they're leaving, you're not doing employee retention anymore. You're really just conducting an autopsy. And the thing about turnover is, it almost never starts on the day that somebody quits. Okay, let's talk about something we call the engagement cliff. The decision to leave usually gets made months, sometimes years before that person actually quits. And it shows up in small, recognizable ways long before anybody actually, gives their notice or hands in a resignation letter. And I want to be clear about why I'm telling you this. So my name is Mark Murphy. I run a company called Leadership IQ. We're a research firm and a training company, and we've spent years studying the actual data on why people really disengage, why they quit. Not opinions, not anecdotes, but real numbers. So when I tell you that employee turnover is predictable, it's because we've watched it happen across tens of thousands of employees. So, for example, in a Leadership IQ study of more than 30,000 employees, we tracked employee engagement against how long people had been at the company. And this is where we discovered what we call the engagement cliff. In an employee's first year, about 37% are highly engaged, right? They're fired up, they're new, everything's exciting to them. But by year 5, that number has dropped to about 22%. And here's the part that should worry you, really worry you. Over those same 5 years, the share of intensely disengaged employees climbs from like 16% all the way up to 32%. So it basically doubles. So that's the slow decline that really drives employee turnover and damages employee retention. And it's why low employee retention is so rarely just one dramatic event. Your best people are kind of sliding down that cliff, one quiet, unaddressed frustration at a time. The good news, and this is the whole point of this video, is that the slide is visible. If you know what to look for, you can actually catch it. So let me give you 5 signs that your best employees will quit within the year, and what each of those signs is really telling you. Okay, sign number 1. They've stopped asking, what's next for me here? Early on, your strongest performers, high performers, they're going to pepper you with questions about growth. Where can I go? What would it take to get there? And then one day, that questioning just kind of goes silent, right? It just stops. Now, a lot of managers read that silence as a good thing, like, oh, thank goodness, they've stopped bugging me every day. But here's the real kick. It usually means the opposite. It's not that that person is finally figured out their path. No, what it means is that they've stopped expecting an answer from the leader and they've started looking for an answer somewhere else. The data actually backs this up. So we did a study called Career Growth or Stalled Progress. And what we discovered was only about 19% of people see a path to advance their career at their current employer. Only 23% say they always have the training opportunities they need to grow. And here's who this really hits the hardest. Your 2 to 5 year employees, people that have been with you in that 2 to 5 year range, they've outgrown the role that they were hired into, right? So they've got years of context that make them expensive to replace. But if you can't show them a next step, like where their career goes next, I can pretty much guarantee that somebody else's company is going to show them that next step. Sign number 2, their frustration has gone from loud to silent. Now, this one's a little counterintuitive, so stick with me for a second. A frustrated employee who still complains is a frustrated employee who still cares. Put another way, anger is better than apathy. The real dangerous shift when it comes to employee retention is when people stop complaining, because silence isn't resolution. It's kind of like resignation, but just in an emotional sense. Like they give up, they stop caring, they resign emotionally before they actually, submit their formal resignation for their job. And believe me, there is, you know this, I know this, we all know this, there is a lot to be frustrated about in any normal organization. In fact, we did a study called Frustration at Work. And about 60% of employees said that their frustrations were severe enough that they wanted to look for another job. And I'm not talking about like major, super dramatic blow-ups. It's things like having to work with a toxic coworker, or not getting clear direction from your boss, or, working for a manager who never recognizes good work, or, watching low performers get the same rewards and recognition as high performers. None of that shows up in a first week survey, but all of it is going to erode job satisfaction over those couple of years. So when somebody who is normally vocal and, offers their suggestions, even complaints, and they suddenly go quiet, don't relax about it. It's just, they've kind of decided, it's just not worth the energy anymore. Real quick, by the way, if these signs are making you think of somebody on your team, subscribe to the channel, like this video. It really does help us. And I publish research-backed breakdowns like this every week, and the whole point of this channel is helping you catch this stuff while you still have time to act on all of it. Now, sign number 3. This is the one that fools probably the most managers. People are quietly disengaged, but they're still hitting their numbers. And here's why this is sneaky. Your best people are good enough to coast and still clear the bar, right? They can still, meet all the expectations. So you look at the output, you see good results, and you assume, everything's cool, everything's good, they're fine. But you completely miss that these folks have actually just mentally checked out. So what you want to not focus on is all the required stuff. What you want to watch is the discretionary stuff, what is technically sometimes known as discretionary effort. It's things like volunteering for that really hard project, or speaking up and sharing thoughts in meetings, staying curious about parts of the business that aren't directly related to their own personal job. When a high performer starts to narrow down to just their job description and not 1 inch more, their engagement usually has cratered, even though their productivity, if you're looking at just KPIs, still looks pretty good. And that gap between performance and engagement, that is one of the most reliable early warnings you're ever going to get. A key employee can look like a model worker right up until the day they actually give notice. Sign number 4. They've gone quiet about the future and about the team. So remember the engagement cliff I talked about? Year 1 feels great, and that's precisely the danger, because high engagement early masks a descent that's typically already begun. The people most at risk aren't the brand new hires riding out the honeymoon phase, right? They're the 2 to 5 year people where the initial excitement has worn off and nothing has replaced it. And you'll often hear it in the language they use. Engaged long-term employees talk about we, what we're building, where we're headed. An employee with 1 foot out the door, though, starts to drift into you or they, what you decided, what they, air quotes, should fix. So it's a little technical, but listen for that pronoun shift. And listen for the person who's suddenly very protective of their work-life balance after years of being flexible. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that work-life balance is a bad thing, but balance suddenly and fiercely defended can signal somebody who has stopped investing emotionally, especially if it is an abrupt change. And this is the danger zone almost every company ignores. Recruiting's done, onboarding's over, right? And this person isn't new enough to get the special attention, or unhappy enough yet to trigger a retention conversation. So they just kind of keep sliding down that engagement cliff while everyone assumes that, no news is good news. And honestly, if you can't remember the last real conversation you had with one of your tenured stars, that absence itself is a very bad sign. So, sign number 5. They've started managing their reputation, not their work. When somebody shifts from doing the work to being seen doing the work, they're really kind of building a case, right? Sometimes that case is for a promotion. That's good. But sometimes, with your best people in the danger zone, that case they're building is for their next employer. So what does that actually look like? It could be updating their accomplishments, getting deliberate about who sees their wins and who they're visible to, reconnecting with old colleagues, the LinkedIn profile that suddenly gets polished after 2 years of complete and total neglect. Now, no one of these things is proof of anything on its own, right? But when you start stacking it on top of the first 4 signs that I talked about, this might be the behavior of somebody getting ready to tell their story in an interview to a new company. And by the time you notice any of this stuff, your window to act is pretty short. So Why do these 5 signs matter so much? Because every one of them shows up while you can still do something about it. They all come before the resignation, often by months before the resignation. And the cost of missing them is real, right? A high turnover rate doesn't just cost you the salary and the recruiting fees to backfill the role. It drains your institutional knowledge. You're losing a high performer, and it dents morale across everybody that's left behind, right? Because it tells all of the other talented people in your company leaving you is totally normal. So here's what you actually do. Treat the danger zone like a recruiting phase, because that's really what it is, and re-recruit your 2 to 5 year people the way you recruited them the first time. Have a real career conversation with each of them at least quarterly. And I'm not talking about a, box checking kind of goal review. An honest discussion about where they want to go. Build genuine recognition into the normal rhythm of the week instead of just, saving it for like the employee recognition formal program or for an annual review. And go hunting for their frustrations before those frustrations harden into actual resignations. Ask them directly what's grinding them down. And then the part that actually counts, you got to fix some of it, right? Because here's the truth underneath all of this. Your best employees usually, it happens from time to time, but they usually don't quit in a single dramatic moment. They just slide down that engagement cliff, one side, quiet side, a little bit, one quiet side at a time. But a cliff you can predict is a cliff you can climb back up, right? If they're sliding down, well, you can start to work up. You just have to stop waiting for the exit interview to tell you that you already had 5 years to learn, right? And so if even one of these signs made you think of a specific person, again, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really genuinely helps this research reach the managers who, really need it. And because we're out here sharing this research, it's important that if you can save really great, talented people, man, I want to see you save really great, talented people. Now, spotting the signs is only half the job. The other half is the career conversation you have once you've spotted them. And so, we're going to focus in another video on those career conversations. Now, if this was useful to you, be sure to check out this next video, because I think if you like this video, this one's going to work for you as well.